In the world of Bigfoot research, not only do you have to study and understand the information that is out there, usually in the form of books, papers, and encounter reports, but you have to get yourself out into the field. That's where the important and significant data is to be discovered and collected. The wilderness is the home of Sasquatch. You have to truly venture into the unknown. To me, this is what the Bigfoot mystery is all about. The adventure, the excitement, the possibility of making a profound discovery. Let's look back into the Mountain Beast Mysteries archives at some of my favorite adventures to capture on film: Expedition Sasquatch 3 and Expedition Sasquatch 4. You guys can see behind me here this crazy structure. Well, this one was built by humans. Every year the First Nations people of this area will come out and they'll do a special ceremony. And every time they do it, they build a new structure. And they're called Sundance Lodges. In this specific spot here, you'll see these Sundance Lodges and you'll see little sweat lodges built throughout this open area. It's really neat, really beautiful place. Just, you know, a mix of conifers and deciduous trees and grassy plains, and then it's surrounded by mountains. It's this beautiful valley, and there's nothing else like it. It's pretty amazing. We try and debunk the structures, you know, are they man-made? Are they natural? This is what a man-made structure looks like, and they've been building these things here for hundreds of years. You can see the colorful rags tied to these things. They almost remind me of Tibetan prayer flags, and I think it's a very similar thing that they're going for. Very, very strange. If you just stumbled into this area not knowing about this place, you know, you'd probably be a little bit creeped out. Kind of has a weird vibe to it. You just got to be respectful of the area, and I think you'll be fine. You know, somebody told me it's actually bad luck to even bring cameras in this place. Probably bad luck for me to go inside of this thing, but maybe it'll bring me good luck. Maybe I'll see something interesting on this trip. Maybe I'll finally get a picture or some video of a Sasquatch. That's my hope. horsey. I'm now on my way to the tree structures, the Nordic tree structures made famous by Les Stroud and our good friend Rod Landings. It's getting late in the evening, it's past 7 right now. So I want to get there, check out these structures quickly, and then set up a camp before dark. We'll see how that works out. The road's pretty rough right now and it's kind of soft, so I'm a little bit worried, but I think, holy big hole in the road. I think we'll be okay. Hey guys, so I just stopped on the road here. This road is crap. Like it's one lane. I'm stopped right here. I shouldn't be, but here's a structure, a real structure, and I have chills right now. Check this out. Holy crap. Like, this is really weird. There's a log that is perfectly horizontal, and it's not like, there's no end on the ground, it's just floating. Look at this thing. It is kind of creepy. It's right above me. This location is very, very remote. Like, we are way out in the boonies right now. And by we, I mean you and me, because I'm alone. Yeah, that's weird. Very, very weird. Made it to the camp. There's some benches and stuff and a fire pit that Rob made from the Alberta Sasquatch organization. Nice little campsite. Can finally relax, but I'm gonna walk down the road a bit right now. I still haven't had anything to eat, but I'm really excited because I did see another structure coming up here. And apparently somewhere close by is one that Rob actually made himself, just to see if it was possible. But I'm not sure where it is. I'd have to check the message he sent me. Throughout this whole area, the trees behind me, there, you can see little, what look like structures. This whole area, this specific spot is weird. It's like littered with them. And the weird thing is I usually am pretty nervous and sketched out when I come to these places alone, but for some reason right now, I don't have that uneasy feeling that I usually get. This location is exactly where apparently Jeff Meldrum had an encounter. The road is very muddy, so it's good for tracks. I'm keeping an eye open for tracks. All I see is horse hooves. There are wild horses all over this place. As you can tell, this one's not nearly as elaborate as that first one I saw when I was driving in. Not nearly as elaborate. They weren't lying when they said these things were really strange and hard to explain. They certainly are weird. Especially this far out. Like, yes, it's along a road, but I don't know. The road crew who built this road could have made them when they were clearing this out. You know, all that logging equipment, it has incredibly strong hydraulic systems, and they could rip a tree out of the ground, spin it upside down, and jam it right into the soil if they wanted to. Looks like something stepped on this log here not too long ago. Check this out. Right? Kind of looks like an impression. I'll put my shotgun beside it just so you can see how long it is. It's only about 10 inches, maybe. This would be a left foot. If it is a foot, these would be toes. This would be the heel, very wide. From this angle, you can really see it. It's pretty deep. And behind it, you know, there's not much. And I will admit, I could just be getting way too excited right now. I did see something weird through here though. That's why I'm going through these bushes to check it out. Oh, fuck off. So here's another one. Wide again, same width. Weird shape. Very, very wide. Same length, same width. And behind it looks like maybe a heel impression or something. Right here. Possibly, I don't know. Looks odd. Too hard to tell. Here's a structure. This one's kind of weird. It's so low to the ground. Something, a human could make it, right? But these are big logs. Like, these are tree trunks. So they're still going to be really, really heavy. If I want to catch that big structure, I really got to move because it is getting dark fast. Oh, fuck. That's interesting. Now, this could very well be the one that Rob made. Everything looks like it can be movable by a human being, and it's right by the road. And I think he said it was in this spot, and it looks a little bit like it's a bit too much, you know what I mean? It's really quiet in these woods. There's no No f***ing way that was natural. There's no way this is natural. This is some serious Blair Witch style shit. Like, they're really weaved in there in a weird way though. That's the bottom of that tree. The top is down there. But where did it fall from? None of these trees are broken. That's why I don't think it's natural. Something had to have made this. Now, there's two options. Bigfoot or people. I've carried many logs in my firefighting career. Yeah, it's pretty... Oh, shit. This is a heavy one. Look, it doesn't look like it's grown here. It's like it was put here. This log's actually not even touching the ground, look. See, this didn't break off the ground here. It didn't grow here, it was put here, look at it. There's no stump here that it broke off of. It's weaved right into the middle of this thing. Somebody left some gifts, look. Some kind of grass, a bundle of grass, and a rock. Some berries in there. There's a lot of researchers that come here. A lot of researchers have been here in the past. Looks like we have visitors.
I don't know you. How do you know me? Yeah, I am. People have been coming up here, shooting up this place, leaving beer cans hanging all over the frickin' trees. They freaking smashed and destroyed my trailer. It used to be parked over here. They moved it around. As far as I'm concerned, if it's not me or if it's not, they can get lost.
Is this?
Hi.
I'd like to know. I'm Justin.
Justin,
Justin, just a second.
you got that video?
I have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, you
No.
got these Mr. a couple of videos. Yeah, I think I seen.
I'm not a crazy wacko. I'm a respectable individual.
No, it's you know what? It's coming back to me now. I've seen a few of his videos.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name. I've seen a few of your videos, Justin. Yeah. Yeah. You
Trinaveski.
seem to be one of the good ones.
Yeah. Well, this is the first time I've been to this location. I've heard, obviously, everyone's heard about it, right?
You've never been here before?
In 2015, in the winter, I came up this road in an Argo.
Yeah.
Had way too many mechanical issues with the thing. We only made it to like kilometer 3.
Oh wow.
So, and I wasn't even sure at that time that this was the place, but
No, this is the spot. This seems to be the spot. Do you have anybody with you or animals or anything?
no. Okay.
Well, I got some stuff we could show you tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. We could show you some. Yeah.
You got some wild stuff around
You
here?
want to take some trips? I want to show you some shit. I want to show Okay, the yellow sign is the peace sign. So the only thing I'm puzzled about is at the one corner back there. Oh, the upside down. There was an upside down tree. Rooted it up. Okay. Yeah, that was in right up on the knoll. It was in list. Yeah.
I heard there was a couple of those.
And when we came around the corner there tonight,
We didn't see
looked
it
like
there.
it was gone. And then on the other side of the road from that, there was this other, I called it an arrow. It was wedged up into the trees.
And
that was gone too. I want to go check that out tomorrow, see if it's just been taken down and just left there, or if it's completely gone. Because I've seen X's disappear before after they've been discovered. I've discovered arches, and then went back the next day to show somebody, and the arch had been released. And I'm talking the X. I'm talking like 60-foot trunks, rooted end up in an X, wedged into the trees. A couple of days after it's been discovered, you go back and it's gone. Not just the trees are laying there, no, the trees are gone, everything gone.
Might need to check.
Yeah. Losing light fast. Let's get it up.
Wait. Do you have an agenda being here, something you want to see, do? Like, do you have a plan, or do you just want to come check it out?
I was kind of winging it. My plan was to just explore the area and get a look at all the different structures and film them.
Okay.
That's basically we can show you where that is at. But all that stuff in Todd's documentary and that he's shown on the survival and stuff, that's all my discovery that I showed to him, and he took credit. I heard that those guys. Yeah. I mentioned my name. The other guy, the unnamed guy. The only good thing that came out of me getting involved with Todd Standing is I met. Oh, we've even received offerings from them, eh? The Squatches.
Oh, really?
They've left us mushrooms.
Really?
Yes. You know what? When people have said that this is more than likely the best Sasquatch habituation site in North America, let me tell you this.
They're not lying.
I did it. They're not lying. The Fish-Walla district offices. When I first got there in Rocky Mountain House, the district manager, when I introduced myself to him, he says, "Oh, yes, I know who you are. You're that Sasquatch guy." And then when I went in at the end of the job to get him to sign the paperwork, after he signed the paperwork, took my phone out, took the battery out, and threw them both on his desk. He said, "Just between me and you, does Alberta Fish and Wildlife know about or have any evidence proving Sasquatch exists?" He says, "We can neither confirm nor deny." His exact words. And then when I was leaving, he basically told me, he says, "Where you're at north of Norday, you're in the right ballpark." Right. Yeah. But how does he know where to freaking... I think they got my phone bugged. I think anybody who's a serious Sasquatch researcher, the local government pays attention to them. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. Actually, I'm surprised the mill hasn't been in here to start logging yet.
How long's your trailer been here?
I think it's since 2014.
Is it okay?
They haven't moved? No, it used to be, well, it used to be this way.
Oh, okay.
Then we came out one time and somebody had moved it over there. That's the first thing that pissed me off.
Made any sounds yet?
Bring it right to...
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. They know who I am. I was out here a couple of years ago with Rob from Alberta Sasquatch. And I got here about 11 o'clock at night. They had been here for 5 days. It was like nothing. Not a sound. Not a nothing. I said, "Is everybody sleeping?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you care if I make a call?" He said, "No." So I made a call. Within 10 minutes. Would not. He just looked at me. This is... They know who I am. I says, and when I'm here, I says, they're coming because they're waiting for apples.
Yeah.
Oh. now they know I'm here. What I figured out about this place is I believe that there's a couple of family groups that live in this area year-round. And then in the fall, sometime between late August and mid-September, activity starts to pick up. So what I believe is other family groups from other parts migrate here. Yeah. Number one, for mating purposes, because what I know of the Sasquatch from what I have seen, I've seen their faces 5 times. They're not an imp. They're a type of people. Right. They have a language and they have a culture. Now when I mean they have a language, you can listen to some of the even Ron Moorhead's recordings. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy.
Is it very similar?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So Ron stuff is...
That's Sasquatch, yeah. Okay. But you hear something like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. That to me sounds like a full sentence in some form of a language. Yeah.
It's also very similar to the alternative Sasquatch stuff. Some of these audio recordings are very similar.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure about those guys. My jury's still out on them.
Right. And I set my alarm to wake up at 2 o'clock. And I got up at 2 o'clock, came over, built the fire back up, was sitting there. And I did some whistles. And it's one that Todd Standing uses. It's that kind of a whistle. Yeah. Only my mouth is kind of dry, so I can't do it right now. But anyway, I did 3 of those. I think I did some wood knocks on the wood pile over there. Came back, sat down by the fire, did 3 more whistles. I was just sitting right on the bench. And back in the trees right over there, I heard a tree branch just go snap. Yeah. Like a loud snap. It wasn't a deer accidentally stepping on a twig. It was a big crack. Yeah. And I came over and I pounded on the window. I said, get out of here. And there's something off in the trees over there. I've got a thermal. Grabbed the thermal and we were scanning, looking to see if we could see what made the sound, but it was gone. That's crazy. Yeah, when you think you're out, I've got a whole bunch of stories I could tell you about my experiences with this. Yeah. I've never seen one. Claims that he's seen more than one, several. Till I see one, I don't know, I'm still skeptical, but I'm also, like, I've had some experiences that make me go, if there's no such thing as a Sasquatch, I'm having trouble coming up with an explanation for what just made that sound. Anyway, I'd love to share those things with you later, but...
That was the funniest thing that has ever happened to me out in the field. Okay, the guy whose trailer was sitting there showed up. What are the odds? I thought I was gonna have to punch that guy's lights out. I thought I was gonna have to put him to sleep because he was getting really aggressive right off the bat and I'm twice his size. Luckily, he instantly warmed up when he found out who I was. He ruined my trip. I'm not staying here. I'm in my vehicle. I'm leaving. I told him I was going down the road to do some time-lapse shit. And that's a lie. I'm not going back there. Oh yeah, we can show you some stuff. We got everything. They were so animated. It's like they were acting. It's like they were overacting. Once they found out I have this YouTube channel. That was so funny. Oh, I was so hoping nobody would be here, and it was looking good. It's late. It is so late right now. That whole experience was just, that was worth it. That was worth the trip alone. You guys can see how crazy the Bigfoot world is, how crazy some of these people get. Like, that guy was full on insane. Like, he had lost his mind. I'm back with Doug this time to the Alberta habituation site, the tree structure site, and we're going up to the camp area where I was last weekend before I got chased out by some other Bigfoot researchers. But we're coming up the road here. I stopped here in the earlier part of the video, you can see. Same spot. At that same structure where the horizontal tree was kind of wedged in the middle of it. And as we're coming up, I'm telling Doug, like, look out for the structure on the side here, because there's going to be one around the corner. And we're looking at it now, and it looks like that floating horizontal log is gone. It's not there, so we're going to go check it out and see if it's even there on the ground. Dude, it's so high up. I don't know how you would really reach it. Stand underneath the structure.
It's at this first cross point though, right?
You see this log?
Yeah.
Like the light colored one? It was wedged in between the fork. It was wedged in that fork.
Oh, of this one?
Yeah. That's pretty high up.
Yeah. Probably 10 feet at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 6'1". That's probably like almost 12 feet from here.
Yeah, it's pretty high. I'm pretty sure this isn't it though. And none of these ones look like it either. That sucks because this one was probably my favorite one. It was wedged in that fork. Hold on a minute. I'm just thinking. I'm pretty sure this is the log. This could be it right here. Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to look at the old piece of video. But that
would make sense too.
That could be it because it's
in there.
Yeah, it's in there. And
it's burnt, eh?
Man.
It's definitely been burnt.
There's the top of it. It would have to have...
I will say something weird about it, for sure, is that log that was wedged in there is the only one with signs of like burning on it. See, I think this piece was probably the piece that was stuck.
That's what I'm thinking.
In the... But just based on like, it's thin there, right?
We'll have to look at the old footage and see if that one's there.
Yeah. It around?
I couldn't reach it though.
Yeah, I know. But, because that's... You know, some of it might look sturdy, but if it's just balanced nicely and it's got a little bit of wedge from like, you know, it's thin here or whatever, if it was just wedged in there a little bit, you know, a heavy enough breeze could knock something like that loose.
You know, what's crazy though? This structure, the first time I saw it like ever on TV or on the internet was in 2014. And who knows when it was built? It was probably built way before then. But so like it's lasted like that for many, many years, and so like between today and the other weekend when I was here, it has fallen. If this is the log, it's either this is it and it's fallen, or the log is gone. And the weird thing is, that researcher I bumped into, he said that there was a tree stump that was flipped upside down and shoved into the ground around here. It used to be here, and other people have told me it was here, but he said as he was driving up, it was gone.
Okay, follow me on this. Okay. I don't mean like with the camera, but I mean...
Well,
like,
I'm going to follow you with the camera.
Okay, so like, if I'm looking at this tree here, right? Now this tree has some burn marks on it. None of the other trees do except for this piece that we suspect might be the one that was wedged in. Now wherever this one came from, and this one came from, because like this one's still rooted, that one's still rooted, that one's still rooted, and that one's still rooted. So like these two are kind of like one of these things, not like the other, you know?
Yeah.
Unless they're a piece of like the same tree, but like it would have had to broken off up there, and then someone would have had like I couldn't see any, like someone had to put it up there.
Yeah.
Because even if it broke,
to get suspended like it was, it would have had to have fallen from somewhere,
yeah,
and another tree immediately would have had to fall on top of it to like wedge it.
But the fact that like, I just don't understand And I don't know how trees recover from burns either, so if they survive like a burn, if the bark just like grows back over top or whatever.
Not usually.
So like, if that's the case, like, I don't understand where these ones even came from, because none of the other trees around here look burnt.
I know, that's the weird thing. And look how big this tree is.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge.
And it definitely doesn't have any, like, you're looking over here. Definitely not, it wasn't rooted here. The only thing I can think of is part of this tree that fell.
Yeah, but that's not burnt.
No, because that one looks like it was rooted right here, because that's its root system. That's not burnt, eh?
No.
So yeah, just one tree got burnt. I mean, to me that sounds like aliens more than anything.
How do you explain the horizontal log?
I don't know. That's to me it only makes sense that someone put it there, but it just, you know, who?
You know, the other theory, what could have happened is the guy I ran into last time, him and that other dude moved it. That is a possibility, just to kind of mess with maybe me or any other researchers. This area has been featured in like Survivor Man. And
Yeah. I just find it interesting more than anything that this one tree is the only one with burn marks on it.
I just find it interesting that between now and last weekend, this happened.
But yeah, like I said, like, were you the first person to find it like across horizontally like that?
No.
How long has it been?
I have old photos from Rob McNeil from the Alberta Sasquatch organization. He has photos of it. Like, it's been like that since before 2014.
Okay, so I know that you're gonna be like, statistically that doesn't make sense, but over time, obviously that thing is rotted. Like, you can see that there's chunks missing from it, right? So over time, you know, weather and stuff like that, and especially if they've had, like, I mean, it's obviously rained recently because there's a bunch of water coming down the hill. If it got, you know, finally just reached that point, I know you're gonna be like, well, it's a big coincidence that it was when we were coming or whatever, but it's still a chance, right?
Yeah.
There's still that possibility that just over time it finally wore down enough where it was heavier on one side than the other and it finally tipped down. Because that's what it looks like happened to me, is that it was straight through and then this side was on that side and it tipped, slid down, and then got wedged back there, pulling this side back over here, right?
The only thing we can really do is film what the ends look like.
And it's not like it's not real sturdy in there.
Is it heavy?
Probably. Go ahead and see. It's fairly heavy, yeah. I can move it, but it's jammed into the ground right here. So definitely fell. And I mean, like, this piece of it specifically being so thin could easily fit in that full fork.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just over time, like I said, if it got to a point where it finally was just weak enough or like took a random gust and tilted enough where it just outbalanced itself and then had to slide back down this way.
Yeah.
But, or the other theory, that Bigfoot seen you here last time and moved it to be like, yo, we're still here, so F off.
It could be that. I don't ever like to claim anything is Bigfoot because I don't know.
Yeah.
But there are definitely other factors because I know for a fact that there was other people here, right?
Yeah.
And I left and they were still here, so they could have done anything.
Yeah.
They could have done anything to mess with whoever, any other Bigfoot researchers.
And we're,
that,
what, 25 minutes away from the reservation, right?
yeah, there's a First Nations camp not too far from here. That element always gets left out of the story, that there's a settlement full of people not that far away from here.
Yeah, like it was like 25 minutes drive-ish.
Yeah, maybe a
Half
bit
hour.
more, not that far.
Not really that long.
They know about this place,
yeah,
for sure.
obviously. And I mean, it is, like there's signs out on this road, like, so
Yeah.
obviously people come here frequently enough where they have to put out signs to say like 1 lane road, and which, I mean, it's obvious. And then you got, what was it, Husky has their sign right at the entrance to this road.
Yeah, they've done some work
Husky
in here.
gas or whatever. It's like it's not like it's completely like untouched by humans
No.
by any means.
Plus there's a road. That's the other thing, right? The big question of this area is, you know, are these structures right next to a road? was the road here first, or were the structures here first?
But don't they talk about like tree structures showing up on the sides of like, because this is a trap line, isn't it?
This is a trap line, yeah.
So isn't that one of the things is like they mark on either side of trap lines to let humans know like nothing past that?
If it is a Bigfoot, my idea is that the structures are built afterwards to let people either know that they're here, like, hello, like, please don't go any further, or more of like an intimidation factor. Like this one here, when you look at it from the road, it almost has like a scarecrow effect. It's like towering over the road. And it looks really weird, so I think it's more of like a marker. It has to be, other than the idea of people making it, you know? If it is Bigfoot, it's probably a territorial thing.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Weird. Inconclusive.
I mean, to me it only makes sense that it got put there, but you know, I don't know by like what. This is just the anomaly. Even it being here is anomalous because it wouldn't make sense for this tree to fall on this side of this one, and then for that piece to break off and end up on this side of it. The one thing too is that I think one thing that might be happening with a lot of people is when we think of these tree structures, we think of them as being made all at one time, when it might have, you know, taken however long for all of these things to pile up. And then, you know, things change also, like even once they're piled up. Obviously, if this is naturally, like if this did naturally just finally get weak enough to fall out of balance, then you have the opportunity. Did you hear that?
Did you hear something?
Yeah, like something like moving that way.
Really?
Legit.
I didn't hear anything.
But now I'm distracted. Sorry. Naturally, for this piece over time to finally like rot away enough for it to tip.
Do you want to go over there?
Do you want to? Yeah, we can.
Should we get the gun?
You think we should? I don't know if we just go
Let's
look.
just go quickly.
Yeah.
Go look. This is another stupid idea. Right?
Guess we'll find out if we live or die.
Because I didn't hear anything.
I'm almost 100% certain I heard something like crack over here. I don't see anything. Unless it came deeper out, but like, I thought it was just in like this general area. But I don't know. It just sounded like almost like this basically. Like.
Let's just stand still for a minute. Sometimes it's hard to tell if it's the wind like moving.
Yeah. And even the rain now.
Yeah. I think it might just be a creaking of a tree.
Yeah, maybe. Wow. Well, that's this tree.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's probably what we were hearing.
Probably.
She's still running?
Still running. Ooh.
The road here seemed a bit rougher than last time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, talking to the audience. We're driving up this road and we look ahead at the end where the camp is, where that other researcher's trailer is, and it looks to be burnt down. Like someone came and burnt it to the ground. In Alberta, you can have your camper or tent area in a spot for a maximum of... Jesus. Is that my seatbelt? For a maximum of... You hold this, I'm distracted driving here. I'm breaking the law myself. For a total of 16 days, you can have your camp, and then you have to move it a certain distance away.
Oh yeah, that got cooked.
And it's been here, he said in the video, since 2014. And I'm pulling up here, and it definitely got roasted. Oh man. Not a sign of smoke. Looks like it's been out for a while. That's crazy. I wonder if whoever did that's the same people who moved the stick on the tree.
Yeah, you were saying you had to do that when you were in the firefighting business?
Yeah, when I was a firefighter, this is like a couple years ago only, there was a hunter or a trapper who had an illegal cabin out in the middle of nowhere in northern Alberta. And if this gentleman is watching this video, I'm sorry. But you had an illegal cabin, and what our job was for that day was to go out to this cabin and remove all the belongings and then burn it to the ground. But that's what I'm thinking happened to this trailer, unless somebody from the camp, the settlement nearby, came and did it. Or, well, out here it could be anybody.
Could
really.
be anybody. He could have done it himself.
Yeah.
So he just didn't want to move it. Though I feel like he probably just did it.
He seemed really like he loved his trailer when he was here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think he would have done it.
Oh, that sucks. That's brutal, man. I'd be upset.
I would be upset too, but at the same time,
Law's the law.
this is crown land, and other people like to come to this spot. You don't just leave your crap lying around. This is basically squatting. There also is a fire ban. So when did that fire ban come into effect? Is there a fire ban here, you think?
I don't know. I didn't see like a sign for a fire ban. I just saw that the fire risk was high.
Oh, well, Edmonton has a fire ban right now.
Oh, okay. Like, we were talking about how you get more nervous about like bears and cougars and stuff like that. After you told me that when those people showed up last time you were here and were like immediately aggressive at first,
Yeah.
that's what makes me nervous, man.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I don't like dealing with other humans.
No, they're really unpredictable.
Yeah. Well, like we were talking on the way, if you have like even the slightest understanding of like animal nature, you can kind of swing the encounter to your advantage just based on knowing what they're being either territorial
Yeah,
or
there's
predatory.
certain signs you can
Yeah.
pick up on.
Whereas a human could look you dead in the eyes and be like, "Hey man, we're all friends here," and then shoot you in the fucking back.
Yeah.
So if I were gonna build this, here's how I would start. That one, where the bottom end, that would be the first one I'd put down.
Right.
It's got like a branch that it's hooked through,
Yeah.
so that'll stay there.
It's also the top's weaved under that
Yeah.
log down there.
Yeah. So then the next one I would put in is that one, because it's underneath these other three. Then this one, then that one. Nope, sorry, this one, then that one. That would be the last one I put up. Do that one.
You should see how heavy that one is.
It's huge.
Yeah,
Goes
try
all
and
the way
lift
back.
it. I couldn't even lift it last
No,
time I was
I'm
here.
not saying I could do it. I'm saying that's what I would do if I could build it.
Yeah. Look at all the deadfall around you and look at what it looks like.
I know.
And then look at this. And the other one we were just at.
Yeah.
What are the odds, man? So close together, these tree structures. But look at the...
The one thing, when you say odds though, I hate having this conversation with you. I hate talking about odds. But when you do say odds though, your odds go up with something like this happening, the more stuff falls.
Yeah.
Because there's more opportunity for it to happen, right? I would love to just hear like some crazy...
Like a scream or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably pee.
Yeah, I'd probably poo. What? What's up? Over here. Did you find anything? I don't know what he wants.
Do bears taste like pretty big shit?
It depends how big the bear is. What, did you find a big pile? Let's check it out.
There's some right there. And there's some right there.
That's horse shit.
Is it?
Yeah.
There's shit right up against the tree, eh?
Yeah.
Dicks.
You'll know bear shit looks almost black. And it's
okay.
like tarry and has berries and shit. Usually. The weird thing is that the structures mainly seem to be concentrated by the camp, right? Like we're walking further and further down this road.
No.
And we don't see anything on
It's
the...
hard to see up there though.
Yeah, but...
This is a lot more greenery too than the other area.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be harder to see. To like pick those things out because there's a lot more vegetation to look through.
The farther out you go, the less and less things you see down this road.
But again, like it's way thicker.
It's way thicker.
Like,
But it's almost like if those ones were made by anything other than people, they would have been made so that people would see them, you know?
yeah. But if they were made by people, then they would want people to see them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the mystery of the floating horizontal log on that first tree structure, it's not so much a mystery, I'll say that. It appears after going over the footage that the log simply tipped over and the one end hit the ground and it just remained in that vertical position. The log that me and Doug suspected was the log that was hovering there is the one. So it's not like the log just disappeared and vanished. It simply just tipped over and remained in that position. And going over the footage, you can see that it is hanging out more on the left side, like it's longer, and it wouldn't take very much to cause it to swing down and tip. I do still find it odd that between me being there the one weekend and like a week and a half later is when it tipped. I find that very strange. Like the chances of that I don't think are that good because this structure's been there and has been like that for many, many years. And just between the two periods of me being there, it moved out of place. I think more than likely someone went there and maybe, you know, it's really high up. They would have had to throw a rope over top of it maybe, and then they could pull it down. I think that's a possibility. The other possibility that is highly likely is wind and weather effects. And of course, there's always the possibility that it was manipulated by a Sasquatch. That's the least likely of all the possible explanations, right? I'm guessing it was done by people. I know there was people there when I left the first time. In that week and a half period, anybody could have went up there and manipulated this tree structure. It's not a huge mystery like I was suspecting before when me and Doug were there. Everything lines up and it simply just shifted and fell down. And I was kind of hoping it was something more than that, but unfortunately it wasn't. It's still a very weird structure. Like before, when the log was sitting there horizontally, that is very hard to explain how that happened. And that is still a mystery. Was it made by Sasquatch initially? Have no idea. It's possible. The area is well known for its Sasquatch activity. This is the #1 site in like Western Canada. You know, I still believe that if I'm gonna film a Sasquatch, if I'm gonna find tracks or have any sort of activity, it's gonna be in this general location. If you look at the Google Earth satellite images of this area, you can see that there are many areas that are just massive, untouched pieces of forest that haven't been touched by the logging industry. And I think that makes it a perfect area for these Sasquatch creatures to exist if they're real. Hopefully one day soon. One day soon I'll find what I'm looking for. I've been investigating the Bigfoot topic for about 8 years now. The subject of Bigfoot has taken me to some of the most amazing places nature has to offer. And it's also led me to have experiences that I never thought I'd actually ever have. Since the beginning, there's been multiple occasions where I'd stumbled upon something that I couldn't actually explain. I say the word stumbled because I still feel like so much of this is up to luck or chance. This latest expedition that you're about to take along on was an amazing journey into the heart of the Rocky Mountains, to a location where I do suspect something unusual has been and is still going on. More often than not, something weird seems to weasel its way into the majority of my adventures at this location. The destination of this trip is a small remote lake about 17 kilometers into the mountains. 17 kilometers on foot with a heavy pack. Despite the distance and the struggle to get there, I do feel the area is extremely promising in the sense that it might turn in some great evidence of the existence of Bigfoot or Sasquatch. When you're going on these Bigfoot trips, the thing is that you're not just packing for like a hiking trip. I mean, you are hiking and doing like, you know, the backpacking thing, but you're also packing for filmmaking and you're packing for Bigfoot investigating or Bigfoot research or whatever you want to call it. So you're not just bringing your hiking equipment, you're bringing all this camera gear, you know, all your lights, your lenses, your tripod, and you're also bringing your Bigfooting stuff. So your night vision, you know, measuring tapes and all that kind of stuff, you know. Equipment for recovering like hair samples and, you know, if you do come across something where you can recover DNA. So, you know, you're carrying gear for 3 different things, not just hiking. And people always say all the time, like, dude, your pack looks ridiculous. It's massive. Why do you carry so much stuff? Well, that's the answer for that. It's because I'm not just hiking. If I was just hiking, I wouldn't have to carry all this other crap. It's a little bit more complicated, you know, you're packing stuff that you probably won't even end up using, you know, but you would like to have anyways, just in case you do find something. So, you know, that's the reason for, you know, the pack being so large and heavy. And, you know, it makes the whole trip that much more difficult because you got to carry it all. So, most of the time when I go out to these areas, I travel alone. And not just because I enjoy solitude for the most part, but also because not many friends of mine enjoy the activity of hiking long distances over mountainous terrain with a 60 to 70 pound backpack. I was lucky, however, to have my friend and fellow Bigfoot researcher Keenan on board for this trip. Keenan is extremely knowledgeable in the topic of Bigfoot and is familiar with the vast majority of reports and sightings in this area. As usual, when we get together, it doesn't take long to begin theorizing about the creature.
So one of the things that Ken had commented on too, right, was this idea that they make mistakes when they're around their children or when their children mess up, right? Their children are seen by humans. But for me, the one thing that I've been convinced of from anecdotal evidence over the last couple of years was more along the lines of they seem to have this proclivity to they get distracted when they're doing something particularly engaging. So you think of a person who gets really into puzzles or who's really into a video game. They become blind to everything that's happening around them. They get tunnel vision on that thing. There are all of these stories of Sasquatch cracking open clams or oysters, or they're fiddling around with rocks, or they're banging a stick against a tree to like a rhythmic pattern, and people walk up on it, and even as they're approaching, you know, 15 meters, 10 meters, 5 meters, making noise as they walk up to them, they don't actually hear them because they're too busy, they're too engaged and enthralled in what they're doing. And actually that's something that Chris Noel goes into as well with his Sasquatch savant theory, is this idea of almost an autistic-like fascination and engagement where they're all in, they're completely enthralled in what they're doing.
The journey to this area is absolutely stunning. Glacier-fed creeks and spectacular views riddle the landscape. As far as the hike itself goes, it's a lot of up and down and up and down. Not too bad at the start, but around the halfway mark it really does begin to wear down on you. It's also at this halfway mark that we came across a spot where I had some bizarre things occur about a year prior. On an earlier trip of mine back in the spring of 2020, I came across what appeared to be a large humanoid footprint that stepped heavily on the ground right on the trail. So I was just coming down the trail from that way, going this way, and there's an impression here in the ground. Now, if you look at it, like it's pretty big. There is like a ridge kind of in the middle there that's higher up than the back and the front. You know, in the Bigfoot world we call that the mid-tarsal break. Ooh, the legendary mid-tarsal break. But is that what we're looking at? Odds are probably not, but whatever it is, it's big. But I have to say it's probably from a person, because there are a lot of other people tracks on this trail. This is the only one I've seen like this that is this big and old, with the pine needles in it kind of pressed down. And like this area not too long ago was covered in snow. This footprint was far from being confirmed evidence of Bigfoot, but it was unusual enough and compelling enough to really get me excited to see what I would come across from then on. It also was enough to creep me out to the point where any little noise that I heard could potentially be a Bigfoot creature. Strangely enough, what happened not long after finding the track was a startling sound.
Getting there.
This is right about where I heard that rock clack. I was coming through here and I heard it. It sounded like it was coming from that direction. And so I kind of like snuck through here down to where this log is. Well, no, I left it on. I was so caught up in what I was doing, and then I kind of scurried down to the rocks. Couldn't see shit. And then I camped in here. Yeah. I was walking along the trail into a densely treed area along the riverbank when a very loud and distinct rock clack stopped me in my tracks. Of course, many people suspect rock clacking to be a sign of Bigfoot, a method of communication, or a way of letting you know that they're there. After finding the track and then hearing this sound, I was really on edge. Well, that was fucking startling. I was just walking down the trail, not thinking about anything other than just walking and where my feet are going, basically. And then out of nowhere, a fucking rock clack, just like, you know, your typical Sasquatch rock clack. As soon as I heard that, I turned the camera on and I tried to kind of sneak out to the edge of the creek here. But it came from somewhere over there. And it was just one clack, and it didn't sound like rocks were falling. You know when like a rock falls and it tumbles down this sandy, you can hear smaller pebbles and stuff coming down with it. And it was just a clack. And it was loud and it was something. Like, I suppose there's rocks everywhere, right? So a rock could have fallen somewhere, but... And the weird thing when you think about it is, like, right when you're in a certain spot, that's when the rock falls, or that's when the tree breaks. Coincidence? Possibly. But I don't see anything, and I haven't heard anything else. And the sun is going down, and I really need to get moving. This is also a really nice camp area, so, like, I could camp here and hope to hear something else, or I could get to the lake where I really want to go. I don't know how much further it's going to be. It's almost 8 o'clock, like I'm almost out of daylight. But man, my heart was racing and my hands were shaking. On that trip, I decided to spend the night in that exact area in hopes of catching a glimpse of one of these creatures. What I ended up catching a glimpse of was something totally different. Well, that was pretty creepy, not gonna lie. A dead silent light of some kind, just a white light. No blinking lights like you'd see on an airplane, like red lights or blinking white lights, just a solid white light. Flying from west to east. And just, you know, very peacefully, I would say, but very low, not very high at all. It's about 4:20 in the morning, 4:20 a.m. and it is the 6th of May. I don't know how it picked up on the camera. I had the ISO cranked up all the way and I was trying to focus using the autofocus at first, and then I switched it to manual, but I can't tell on the little screen if it was in focus or not, but you can see the light, and then you can kind of see it disappears behind the tree and then reappears and then disappears behind the other trees. But every time an airplane has flown over, there's been a couple of like airliners that have flown over and you can really hear them, like, they're pretty loud, but this thing, dead silent, so I don't know what it was. Kind of creepy though. Like, it's early in the morning, I'm sleeping in the open air. I didn't even set up a shelter, just my sleeping pad and my sleeping bag, so it looked like it was going to be a clear night. And I just woke up early and made some hot chocolate and was just kind of pacing around trying to kill time. And my light flew over, so hopefully I don't disappear. Get abducted by aliens when I'm out looking for Bigfoot.
I always keep hoping that we'd see like a Sasquatch across something like that. So you got like a little opening where there's been like a mudslide or a landslide in the past.
Well, when I camped here, that's what I kept looking up there, because I heard the rock clack. And so the whole evening I was watching this ridge. Yeah, it's creepy coming back here alone.
Yeah.
Like your mind starts playing tricks on you. And when I came out here on that trip, it was real early in the season. There's nobody else out here. So this area has its own history of strange occurrences. At least to me anyways. This is a relatively well-used trail, which makes me wonder, how many other backcountry travelers have had strange experiences out here? Has anyone ever had a face-to-face encounter with Sasquatch? Or at least heard any strange noises or something out of the ordinary? Anyways, we pushed on hard to try and get to the camp by a decent hour. The smoke in the air from all the nearby wildfires didn't make it any easier for us. But eventually we made it to where we wanted to go.
I'm dying. I'm dying.
I've always really loved this camp area due to its remoteness. But with that feeling of remoteness comes a sense of vulnerability. This small lake is surrounded by dark woods that really give off a creepy and unsettling vibe. We got our camp set up and wasted no time cracking open a victory drink and relaxing near the fire pit, though the local fire bans prohibited us from having an actual fire. This area has become a regular area to investigate for me for one main reason. A bizarre occurrence that happened back in 2015. I took this time to go over the experience with Keenan, but it's also worth noting that I had actually visited this spot about a month prior to this trip, in hopes of having a run-in with what I think was most likely a Bigfoot creature that I suspect visited this camp all those years ago, back in 2015. The second hump, like the top hump there.
Yeah.
If you go up there and a little bit down, that's where I had something like full on walk by the tent.
Like 2 feet? Like dum.
Yeah, like it sounded like 2 feet. That was back in like 2015, in like the middle of the night. So I'm here at a place that I call Hidden Lake, and I don't know if it's actually called Hidden Lake. That's just what I have called it since I've known of its existence. And this is the spot where I had a really weird encounter back in 2015, and I've mentioned it in other videos that I've made. But back then, I was with 2 other people, and one of our tents was set up where my tent is right now, right there. And the tent that I was in was actually set just up here. Like, I've been trying to find the exact location where I had the tent, but I can't really remember. I think it was right here. I want to say right here. It's either here or just over there. But we were up here camping. It was the second night here. We had hiked in. Like, this place is pretty deep into the bush. It's like a day's hike. But we had hiked all the way here the first day and spent the night. And then the second day, we hiked up to the mountain, like right on the top of the ridge back there. I don't know if you can see it in the shot, but it's back there. So we hiked on top of that ridge. We hiked back down. Kind of got lost on the way back, actually. But eventually, in the evening, found our way back to the camp. And the second night is when the weird thing happened, where in the middle of the night, I randomly woke up to something walking past the front of the tent, probably like 20, 30 feet maybe in front of the tent. And this is exactly where it happened. So it walked by the tent, and then it made a grunting sound. And like, at that point in my life, I'm thinking it's a bear. So I was lying on my belly in my tent, like with my knife in one hand, ready to fight a bear. So, I mean, I definitely would have lost, but it's all I had at the time for protection. So eventually, like, it walked off, and I fell back asleep. So, but this is where it happened, and I suspect, just over there is where the creature walked by from left to right, maybe, like I said, 20 or 30 feet that way, and kind of just disappeared towards the mountain, and that was it, basically. And in the morning I woke up, I didn't even remember that it had happened. It wasn't until later in the day when we were on our way home that I was like, oh yeah, like, I remember this weird thing happening last night, and it just didn't feel like a dream. It felt like a thing that actually happened. And I still remember it like it actually happened. So, I mean, I'm back here alone for the night, and I'm hoping something crazy happens. I'm hoping to have something similar to that happen tonight. So I'm gonna try some wood knocking and try and lure something in here somehow. But pretty much where I'm standing right now is where I suspect that creature walked. If it was a Sasquatch, like, it could have actually been a bear. I mean, this is bear country. And, lots of bears have been seen in this area over the years. So in that sense, it is kind of a dangerous spot. And it is a very remote lake. Like, this is really tucked away up in the mountains. The cool thing is that I'm actually right now using the exact same tent that I had on that trip, which is cool. So if it is a Sasquatch, if it was a Sasquatch, maybe it'll recognize the tent. I think that trip was probably like the first or second time I ever used that tent, and still using it today. So there it is right there. So I don't know, I keep walking down to the water to kind of, look along the shore on the other side of the lake, because I want to, see if there's anything across there watching me. I have this like image in my head. I have this scenario in my head where I'm at the edge of the lake, and that's when I see Bigfoot is across the water on the other side, just kind of watching me. And there are fish in this lake, so it would be a good source of food for a Sasquatch. And I don't think it would be too crazy to think that they would come down to the water to catch fish. Every time I hear a fish jump, though, it kind of startles me. I think there's something splashing around in the water that's, you know, something that's not a fish, something like a Sasquatch. I have no real way of confirming what exactly walked by the camp back in 2015, but I've always suspected and wondered if it was a Sasquatch. My logical side says it was probably a bear, but my gut wants to say Sasquatch. After explaining this weird event to Keenan, we were just chatting and joking around in the camp, and then this happened.
Feel free to go grab that second beer whenever you want to.
Oh, dude.
Like, I'd like to say that I would save one for tonight and one for tomorrow. That's worth it, man.
I can't. I don't think I could do that.
Like,
once you start going, there's no stopping, you know?
well, there is, because you only get two. No, I guess there's two down there, so you could knock me out and probably get the half of this one.
Steal your nice backpack.
I have to wait.
I'm not carrying your shit out of here.
It's more of a wood snap.
Camera's rolling. I should point it over there.
Yeah. I would make a move.
That mic is directional, so it might not have picked that up.
I would make a move. In case someone's moving through.
We waited around near camp to see if any other tree knocks or snaps would occur. What we didn't want to do was scare off whatever it was that made that noise. One thing is for sure is that this incident definitely set the tone for the rest of the night, and the rest of the trip for that matter. As darkness fell, we prepared for our first night and got all of our gear situated in our tents. Well, I was the only one with a tent, and Keenan had a bivvy shelter, which is essentially a waterproof sleeping bag cover. And the amount of exposure and vulnerability you feel in those bivvy bags can make you incredibly uncomfortable while on a Bigfoot expedition. I took some time before getting into my tent to scan the lakeshore with my night vision. There was nothing out of the ordinary that I could make out. We turned in for the night, but about an hour or so after falling asleep, I was awakened by Keenan, who seemed a bit shaken up by something.
So, again, it feels like when I heard it, it was down and then further in that direction. So, you have a first one which is like a clunk clunk, or like a clunk clunk with a snap of like a twig break, like a floor level, psh, and then, holy shit. So, I turned the audio off on my phone, and then I just moved my face right up to the screen of the bivvy shelter. And then less than a minute later, there's a similar but just as distinct but quieter one, as if it was a little bit further to the left. These all still feel like they're within the range of like falling from the trees, I think. But it was the first one, followed by the second one, and I guess that's what we're here for, right?
That is correct.
It wasn't just like a pine cone falling, it was like,
Really?
yeah. But the first one was like, but like bigger and in that direction.
Sometimes when those pine cones do fall though,
They are thuddy.
they are pretty loud.
Yeah.
Whatever it was that Keenan heard was coming from the exact same direction as the wood snap we heard earlier. Was it the same creature? I have no way of knowing for sure, but it seemed like maybe it was more than just a coincidence. We went back to sleep, and surprisingly I passed out right away. Keenan, however, after suffering from the heebie-jeebies, took a bit longer to pass out. Nothing more happened that night. We woke up to a very smoky morning and began prepping for a full day of exploring the nearby mountainside. We wanted to get higher in elevation to an area that would be a great hiding spot and overlook position to observe any hikers who might visit the lake. The weird thing to think about is that somewhere out there, if they're around, if they're real, is that somewhere out there is the place where they live. Like a place where they sleep,
Yeah.
and have their kids,
Yep.
and just exist. And nobody's been able to ever find. So, unless you think of like the Mushalat hairy guy who was taken away to that place where there was apparently like over 20 of them.
Yeah, no, that's true, but there's always the possibility that they're true nomads, right? That idea that they really don't belong anywhere, and that they move around continuously. That's why you don't find anything more substantial than like a little nest or like a bedding area where something big has been, right?
Right.
There has to be somewhere safe to keep young ones.
Yeah.
That's the thing that strikes me.
Like a cave or something.
Yeah, a cave or I think people have referred to them historically as nursing areas. That would be some shit. 17.1 kilometers back to our campsite from the road. Now we're on the opposite side of an unnamed lake, climbing up a 45-degree hill over deadfall. So one of the things that comes from several of the reports we've received, and then some of the ones that we've seen through other groups, are when we look at boulder fields like this, we've come across, or sorry, in the reports, we've come across strangely stacked rocks, but we're talking about boulders in excess of 150, 200 pounds, stacked on top of each other as if something is trying to access a crevice, to access an animal den, or something similar, or digging through looking for something edible. And we've seen that west of Dutch Creek, west of the Livingston Public Land Use Zone here in Alberta, and there's reports of that in the US as well. But the distinct feature is that the rocks and the boulders that are being moved are outside of the range of human comfort or human capability, and it's in an area not frequented by people. So even you see like those smaller ones up here, they're not like stacked on top of each other, but we would go take a look to see if there's like a hole that it was pulled out of, right? Because I don't think anyone would be incentivized to come up here to stand on all of this like precarious stuff and be manipulating these several 100-pound boulders. I guess the other thing we'd be looking for here too, I know some of our counterparts in the US too, one of the things that they think they find are nut cracking stations, which would be like a stump with a bunch of cracked nuts and the sign of a crushing rock. We'd be looking for something like that here as well. So another sign of manipulation, right? So all of these rocks have like this green stuff on it. But when you're looking for like signs of manipulation, if you look on the bottom side, all of them are completely clean. So only the side exposed to the sun has this green stuff, has this discoloration, has like this sort of weird texturing, but the bottom side is completely smooth. They're all that way. They're all that way. So when we're going through here looking for these signs of disturbance or activity, looking for this color, you find it under the big boulders too as well. It doesn't look like anything is going through here manipulating this, looking for a meal. So I guess we're moving on. Really all we're looking for is any kinds of signs of deliberate manipulation. What I'd love to find is what that Olympic project has found with those nesting sites.
Oh yeah.
They're like woven. They're not just stacked branches.
Yeah.
They're woven into each other, and they're carried. The material was carried to that location from another area. The interesting thing too about like all the Sasquatch stories is that they don't seem to kill it and eat it on the spot like a wild animal.
They kill it, take it to a safe space.
Yeah.
That's like a leopard or something. Like in Africa, the leopard will kill their animal and then...
Cougars here in Canada will take their kills into a tree, which is why we find
that's the same with the
carcasses in trees. If I was going to have like a long distance sighting, I'd expect to see them traversing something through there, just between trees or something, right?
Yeah.
You'd see that black upright blob move.
It does look like a place where you'd maybe find a cave. I'm sure there's caves all over the place. There's probably caves on every single mountain here. It wouldn't surprise me.
No. What would benefit them would be something that's reseated behind one of those tree lines, where the entrance was like that.
We're almost at the same altitude as that helicopter.
Yeah. Also, one of the things I realized is if something was standing still up there, I don't think I'd be able to differentiate it from a bush.
No.
Isn't that like another commonality that we see in like reports and stories? Right? Is when they're seen, they just stop moving. Even if you know what they are, they will still bank on not moving versus running away.
Yeah.
Till they're absolutely certain they're busted.
Yeah.
Well, we've been going for an hour and 50 minutes. We've traveled 1.37 kilometers. What if something was smart enough and strong enough to have a cave entrance over there, and then they block it off during the day with a big rock?
Maybe.
Can you imagine?
But it's like you wonder if any of these pockets of trees, if there's like an entrance somewhere.
That's the cave that I would pick.
Yeah.
It's the one that's obstructed from the helicopters.
Yeah.
So we started at the lake. You'd see where we were messaging our family members. We came up through the steep part on the north edge of the lake. This is where we were on our hands and knees crawling up, and then through here and up. And then we did our kind of almost like switchbacks through the boulder fields looking for Came up here where we turned around. We're looking at that stack of rocks, and then came back down. And we ended up over here.
So we should maybe go a little bit this way.
A little bit, but like we're within like, we're talking like within like 30, 40 meters of
Yeah.
where we would have crossed the same area. Probably less, actually. Within 20 meters.
We eventually made our way back down the precarious mountainside to our camp. The evening was extremely quiet and there wasn't any activity at all like the night before. We just enjoyed the wilderness around us and acted like we weren't really looking for the legendary beast. Maybe by utilizing this tactic, something would feel comfortable enough to come around. But nothing did. There was no activity throughout the entire night. The next day, we decided to venture further down the main trail in hopes of making it to a more well-known lake. We didn't really know what to expect. Along the way, we came across some beautiful mountain creeks, which made it easy for us to fill up on water. We also came across these massive boulder fields that seemed to be the result of some sort of ancient landslide. The views were spectacular, but nothing was as spectacular as the moment the lake came into view. We enjoyed a quick lunch at the lake, and after searching around for a little while and not finding anything unusual, we began to make our way back to our camp. Perhaps in the future, this giant lake would be a location to base an expedition.
By the way, I think one of the things that we kind of got lucky with is being born into a certain generation of people at a certain stage of the search for this creatures. So I think one of like the curses for like Thomas Steenberg, right, is like, so he was young enough that all of this felt new and exciting when he was getting into it. But there was probably a number of years, even decades, that probably passed by with his search where it felt like the discovery was right around the corner. The next report, the next trackway, the next whatever, it always felt like they were getting better, or they were getting closer, or they were assembling enough information to paint a clearer picture of how to find one. And then it just never happened. And then those original guys started passing away, and it felt less in touch. But like one of the things that Thomas has mentioned in a number of interviews is that it was a big enough of a deal, and it felt real enough, and the evidence seemed legitimate enough to give up everything and just go look for it in the place where he thought he had the best shot of finding it. Get out of the army, go find a job in southwestern BC, look for this thing full time, be closer to Hindon, be closer to Green, be closer, I don't know where Byrne lives, probably the US somewhere. And, but yeah, to be closer to those people, collaborate, and figure this all out. And, I don't know. Like there's I think I talked to you about this one point too. There was like that South Korean guy that went to look for Siberian tigers. I think it took him 6 years to get his first photograph of one. Knowing where they are, knowing how to bait them, knowing how to find them, knowing all of those things, he had to like go there, and I think by hand he had to like dig out subterranean bunkers. Like he built out like trenches, and then he would put like overhead protection. These are like almost like World War II machine gun trenches. And then he would fully camouflage them, and they would just be just above the ground. So he'd be sitting in these things, not leaving them for weeks at a time, covering his scent, covering his odor, shitting in bags, like to get a photograph of a tiger that we already knew existed, and it was in that area. And like that, and that was all of the work for unknown creature. So what I think of these trips is that they're all lottery tickets. These are like the scratch-off lottery ticket of looking for Bigfoot. Is it possible that you could be in the right place at the right time? Yeah, but even like when we're this far back, we're still pseudo-limiting ourselves to like known areas. Like we're here in this area, and like you just look around and look at all of the signs of human manipulation and signs of continuous human occupation and usage of this area. And maybe that's a good thing, right? Like we were saying before too, right? When humans come here, like us, we use these known spaces. We're very predictable. We're not out there at night doing things on mountains, for sure. Not the sane ones of us, at least. In the end, I think people are correct that the people that have the best shot of having some sort of meaningful interaction or documenting some sort of meaningful, tangible evidence is these if they're real, long-term experiencers. People that build up a slow rapport over the course of years through gifting, item exchanges, and knocking back and forth, other sort of non-verbal communication. Yeah, I think for us, it's going to come down to one of two things. We're either going to find a group that is a bit more aggressive, and that somewhere that we stumble into, they will feel the need to push us out of in a very show you what's going on kind of way. Or we're going to have a property owner have to contact us with year-round or seasonal activity that we could count on, where we could leave equipment set up have a little setup.
Though we didn't find any conclusive evidence on this trip or have any sort of face-to-face encounter with a Sasquatch, it's trips like these that keep me excited for expeditions in the future. With persistence and the drive to keep getting out to areas like this, something is bound to happen eventually. Something that will be the smoking gun in confirming the existence of Bigfoot.